The Once and Future Present, Episode 7, Crusade or Campaign, debating the motives of the Crusaders. An AP European History podcast from Hammer History Productions. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Once and Future Present, the AP Euro podcast from Hammer History Productions. I'm Casey, and today we're diving into our first full-on debate episode. And what better topic than the Crusades? Were these medieval holy wars actually motivated by religious faith, or were they more about land, power, and politics?
That's a great question, Casey, and a perfect chance to bring back some themes from earlier episodes. Remember, in episode 1, we talked about how historians use the same evidence to build very different interpretations of the past.
Exactly. And in episode 3, we looked at how sources, especially primary ones, reflect perspective, bias, and even silence. That's absolutely true when we try to figure out why people went on crusade.
Right, because we're not just asking what happened, but why it happened, and why people in the past thought they were doing it.
That's the heart of historical interpretation. So today we're drawing on some great paired readings from the Taking Sides series. We've got 4 historians, 2 from the Western Civ volume and 2 from the World History edition, offering very different views on what motivated Crusaders.
Let's start with the basics. What were the Crusades?
The Crusades were a series of military campaigns initiated by Latin Christians starting in 1095. Their stated goal was to reclaim Jerusalem and other parts of the Holy Land from Muslim control. But they also became a broader movement, impacting politics, trade, and Christian-Muslim relations across centuries.
And this starts with Pope Urban II, right?
Yes. In November of 1095, at the Council of Clermont in France, Pope Urban II gave a rousing sermon. He called on knights and nobles to take up the cross, literally sew a cross on their tunics, and go liberate Jerusalem. He promised full forgiveness of sins and salvation to anyone who joined.
So this was kind of like a military pilgrimage?
Exactly. The idea of pilgrimage was already powerful. People traveled to holy sites like Rome or Santiago de Compostela to demonstrate faith and earn spiritual merit. Urban fused that idea with military action. And this campaign, the First Crusade, was wildly successful, capturing Jerusalem in 1099.
But not everyone went for the same reasons. And that's where our debate begins.
One of the key historians defending the religious interpretation is Hans Eberhard Meyer, a German medievalist. He argues that Crusaders were deeply motivated by piety. They genuinely believed they were serving God and saving their souls.
So, not just looking for glory?
Right. Meyer sees the Crusades as spiritual warfare. He emphasizes how central Jerusalem was in medieval Christianity, the city where Jesus was crucified and resurrected. Controlling it was more than political. It was a sacred duty.
And this connects to something we talked about before: indulgences. Urban promised that going on crusade would offer plenary indulgence, full forgiveness of sins. That was massive in a time when people feared purgatory and damnation.
Wait, what's purgatory again?
In medieval Christian belief, purgatory was a kind of middle ground, a place where souls went to be purified before reaching heaven. The more sins you had, the longer you stayed. Indulgences could reduce or erase that time.
So imagine being a knight who'd lived a violent life. The crusade was a way to fight for salvation, literally.
Arthur Jones, in the World History volume, adds that the Crusades left a lasting cultural and religious impact. He connects the language of holy war used in the Middle Ages to more modern political rhetoric.
That's wild. So the way people remember the Crusades still matters politically?
Very much so. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's another side to this story.
The counterpoint comes from historians like Ronald Finucane and Jonathan Phillips. They argue that religious motives existed, but they weren't the only or even the main reason people went.
Take Finucane. He points out that Europe was experiencing economic and social changes in the 11th century. Many younger sons of nobles, who wouldn't inherit family land, saw the Crusades as a way to win territory and wealth.
So, like, landless knights looking for opportunity?
Exactly. And don't forget the merchants. Italian city-states like Venice and Genoa supported the Crusades because they opened new trade routes to the eastern Mediterranean.
Plus, crusading didn't always mean a one-way ticket. Some people went and came back. Others stayed and helped set up crusader states, like the Kingdom of Jerusalem or the County of Edessa.
What's a crusader state?
Good question. After the First Crusade, the victors didn't just leave, they built fortified settlements. These states were run by Western Europeans in the midst of the Islamic world, often under constant threat. They relied on support from Europe to survive.
And here's where it gets tricky. While some settlers probably believed in the religious mission, others clearly acted like colonial rulers, taxing locals, seizing land, and building power bases.
So even if religion was part of it, there was a lot more going on.
That's the point Phillips makes. In his essay, he emphasizes that motivations were complex. Some crusaders were deeply devout, others joined because of family pressure, social expectation, or even legal trouble. There were cases where prisoners were offered a pardon if they joined.
Kind of like plea bargaining?
That's not far off. And don't forget, we don't have a single original transcript of Pope Urban's speech. We have several versions, each written down after the fact by different authors, some emphasizing salvation, others violence or land.
That's where our historiography really kicks in. Depending on which sources historians use and how they interpret them, they end up with different narratives.
It's like how in episode 4, we talked about different schools of thought. Some historians focus on belief systems. Others look at class or economics.
Exactly. And no single explanation fits everyone. The medieval world didn't divide motivations neatly. People can be both devout and ambitious, faithful and opportunistic.
So why does this debate matter? For one, the Crusades have become symbolic. Different groups, Christians, Muslims, nationalists, have used them to explain or justify modern events.
So the way we tell this story still shapes how people think about religion and politics today?
Yes, and that's the power of historical memory. The Crusades weren't just wars, they were ideas. And those ideas have been retold, repackaged, and reused across generations.
So when historians debate why people went on crusade, they're also debating how we understand the roots of conflict, the nature of belief, and the story of Europe itself.
Okay, so let me try to sum it up. Some historians, like Mayer and Jones, say the Crusades were holy wars driven by faith and salvation. Others, like Finucane and Phillips, say that's only part of the story, and we need to look at politics, economics, and social pressures too.
That's exactly right.
And as always, the truth is in the tension. History isn't about memorizing what happened. It's about interpreting the past, asking tough questions, and staying open to complexity.
Thanks for listening to the Once and Future Present. You can find more resources and our history music projects by searching for Hammer History Productions on YouTube and Spotify. And remember, stay curious and think critically.